Ji-woo stood at the viewing window of the transport ship, watching Luminara Prime grow larger against the star-filled darkness. The space station was massive, bigger than any city on Earth. Lights glowed from thousands of windows, and ships of every size moved around it like fish in an ocean. Her heart raced with excitement and fear. She was the first human to attend the Galactic Academy, and she had no idea what to expect. The transport docked with a soft thud. Ji-woo grabbed her small bag and followed the other students down the corridor. Most of them towered over her. There were beings with 4 arms, others with scales that reflected light like mirrors, and some that floated instead of walked. They all stared at her. She was used to it by now. Humans were new to the galactic community, and most aliens had never seen one before. The academy halls were beautiful but strange. Everything was built for creatures much larger than humans. Ji-woo had to climb stairs that felt like mountains, and doorways seemed designed for giants. She found her assigned room after getting lost twice. It was empty, except for a bed that was far too big and a desk she could barely reach. Her roommate, another human named Mireille, had deferred her admission at the last moment. Ji-woo was alone. She spent the first night sending messages home to Earth. Her younger brother Hyam was training to become a pilot. He sent her a video of himself in a simulator, making jokes and telling her not to embarrass humanity. Their parents sent their love and reminded her to eat well. Ji-woo smiled at her screen, feeling homesick already. Morning came too quickly. Ji-woo dressed in her academy uniform and made her way to her first class, Survival Sciences. The classroom was an amphitheater with seats rising up in curved rows. She took a spot in the back, her legs dangling off the chair that was built for someone twice her size. Students filed in, talking in various languages that her translator implant struggled to keep up with. None of them sat near her. Then Professor Dexler entered, and the room fell silent. He was a Krathian, over 3 meters tall, with dark red skin and arms thick as tree trunks. His species was famous across the galaxy. They served in most military positions and were considered the toughest beings alive. He moved to the front of the class with heavy steps that made the floor vibrate. "Welcome," he said, his voice deep and rumbling. "I am Professor Dexler. In this class, you will learn about survival in hostile environments. You will learn about species that have adapted to the worst conditions in the galaxy. And you will learn about Deathworlders." Ji-woo leaned forward, interested. She had heard the term before, but never understood what it meant. Professor Dexler activated a holographic display. An image of a planet appeared, spinning slowly. It looked like a nightmare. The surface was covered in red sand and jagged mountains. Storms raged across its face, larger than Earth's moon. "This is Krothos, my homeworld," the professor said with obvious pride. "The gravity is 2.3 times what most of you consider normal. The temperature ranges from -50 degrees to 70 degrees Celsius. The atmosphere contains trace amounts of sulfur dioxide. Every creature on this planet evolved to kill and survive. This is a death world." The other students whispered to each other. Some looked impressed. Others looked terrified. "A death world," Professor Dexler continued, "is a planet so hostile that merely existing there requires extraordinary adaptation. Species from death worlds are stronger, faster, and more resilient than others. We Krathians are the only true Deathworlders in the consortium. This is why we protect the rest of you. This is why we are necessary." He looked around the room, his chest swelled with pride. "Your garden worlds, with your gentle weather and herbivore ancestors, could never produce warriors like us. It is simply fact, not boasting." Several students nodded in agreement. Ji-woo noticed they were mostly from species she had read about, beings from planets with perfect climates and no natural predators. They looked at Professor Dexler with something close to worship. But something bothered Ji Woo. She thought about Earth, about hurricanes and earthquakes, about the ocean trenches where life existed in crushing darkness, about deserts where humans built cities and mountains where they planted flags, about her own ancestors who crossed continents with nothing but primitive tools. Her hands slowly rose into the air. Professor Dexler noticed after a moment. He looked surprised, then amused. "Yes, human? You have a question?" His tone was gentle, the way someone might speak to a child. Ji Woo stood up so everyone could see her, even though standing made her feel even smaller. "Ever heard of Earth, Professor?" The classroom went completely silent. Professor Dexler's expression shifted from amusement to confusion. "Earth? Your homeworld?" "I know of it, of course. A garden world, recently contacted." "Why do you ask?" "It's just—" Ji Woo chose her words carefully. "You said Krathians are the only Deathworlders in the consortium. I was wondering if you had detailed information about Earth classification." Professor Dexler's face darkened slightly. Ji Woo realized that he did not, in fact, have detailed information. He had assumed, like everyone else, that humans came from a gentle world because they looked soft and small. "I'm certain," he said slowly, "that Earth is classified appropriately. Humans have only recently achieved faster than light travel. Your world cannot be very harsh if you develop so peacefully." Ji Woo felt anger flash through her, but she controlled it. She kept her voice polite and calm. "With respect, Professor, I don't think that's accurate. Perhaps I could give a presentation about Earth for the class, so everyone can learn about it properly?" The professor stared at her for a long moment. The other students were completely still, shocked that the tiny human was challenging their famous teacher. Finally, Professor Dexler nodded slowly. "Very well. You may present next class. I look forward to being educated about your peaceful garden world." There was sarcasm in his voice, but also curiosity. Ji Woo sat down, her heart pounding. What had she just done? She had challenged one of the most respected professors at the academy. If she was wrong, she would humiliate herself and all of humanity. But she was not wrong. She knew she was not wrong. After class, Ji Woo walked back to her room in a daze. A few students stared at her, some with hostility, others with interest. One Krathian student, larger than the rest, stopped her in the hallway. Ji Woo tensed, ready to run. "That was brave," the Krathian said. His voice was softer than Professor Dexler's. "Stupid, maybe, but brave." "I am Krau, Ji Woo," she replied carefully. "I will be interested in your presentation, Ji Woo from Earth." Krau nodded respectfully and walked away. Back in her room, Ji Woo immediately opened her computer and began requesting files from Earth. Scientific data, environmental records, evolutionary history. Everything she would need to show the galaxy exactly what kind of world had produced humanity. Her hands shook as she worked, but not from fear. She sent a message to Hyen. "I think I just started something big." His reply came an hour later. "Good. Show them what we're made of." Ji Woo smiled and kept working. In 3 days, she would stand in front of that class and tell them the truth about Earth. She would tell them about hurricanes and lions and the fact that humans used to hunt animals that could kill them with one swipe of a claw. She would tell them that humanity did not come from a garden world. She would tell them that Earth was a death world too. And then everything would change. Ji Woo spent 3 days preparing. She barely slept. Her room became filled with holographic displays showing Earth from every angle. Weather patterns, tectonic plates, ocean currents, predator compilations. Every piece of data she could find was organized and ready. A xenobiologist named Dayan sent her a recorded message from Earth with additional scientific information. He wished her luck and told her to make humanity proud. On the second day, Ji-woo met Counselor Ring in the Academy Library. Ring was unlike anyone Ji-woo had ever seen. She looked like a butterfly the size of a human, with delicate wings that shimmered in colors that had no names. Her species came from a world with low gravity and no predators. They were artists and philosophers, gentle in every way. "I heard about your presentation," Ring said, her voice like wind chimes. "I wanted to help." "Why?" Ji-woo asked. "Most students think I'm being arrogant." Ring's wings fluttered. "I think you are being honest, and I am curious about your world. Will you show me what you have found?" Ji-woo showed her. As the data appeared, Ring's wings began to shake. Her large eyes grew wider and wider. When Ji-woo finished, Ring was completely still. "This cannot be real," Ring whispered. "No species could survive this. You are telling me humans evolved on this world?" "We did," Ji-woo confirmed. "I must attend your presentation," Ring said. "Everyone must see this." Word spread through the academy like fire. By presentation day, the classroom was completely packed. Students filled every seat and more stood against the walls. Ji-woo even saw faculty members she did not recognize. In the front row sat a Krathian military officer with medals covering his chest. His name was Commander Brelix, and his face showed nothing but skepticism. Professor Wexler entered and looked surprised at the crowd. He looked at Ji-woo, who stood at the front with her presentation ready. "It seems you have attracted attention, human. I hope you do not disappoint them." "I'll try not to, Professor," Ji-woo said calmly. The lights dimmed. Ji-woo activated her display, and Earth appeared above the class, slowly rotating. Blue oceans, green and brown continents, white clouds swirling across the surface. It looked peaceful, beautiful, safe. "This is Earth," Ji-woo began. Her voice was steady despite her racing heart. "From space, it looks like a garden world. Most of you probably assume it is gentle and easy. You would be wrong." She zoomed in on a satellite image of a hurricane. The massive storm covered an area larger than some countries. These are called hurricanes. The winds reach 300 kilometers per hour. They can destroy entire cities. They occur regularly in certain seasons. Humans build their homes knowing these storms will come, and we stay. The image changed to a tornado, a spinning column of destruction tearing across flat land. Tornadoes. They appear with little warning. Wind speeds inside can exceed 500 kilometers per hour. Humans who live in tornado regions build shelters underground. We adapted. Ji-woo continued through her presentation methodically. She showed earthquakes splitting the ground open, volcanoes exploding with the force of nuclear weapons, tsunamis washing away coastlines, floods, droughts, blizzards, every natural disaster Earth could produce. The temperature on Earth ranges from -89 degrees Celsius to +57 degrees, she said. Humans have permanent settlements at both extremes. We live in deserts. We live in frozen wastelands. We live on mountains where the air is too thin for most species to breathe. The classroom was completely silent. Every eye was fixed on the display. "Now let me tell you about Earth's atmosphere," Ji-woo said. "It is 21% oxygen. Most worlds in the consortium have oxygen levels between 9 and 14%. Our air is highly combustible. We breathe what other species would consider fire air." She brought up the gravity data. Earth's gravity is 1.0 grams. This seems standard to many of you. But humans did not evolve to crawl or lumber under this gravity. We evolved to walk upright, to run. We are built to move quickly in an environment that would exhaust most species. Then Ji-woo moved to the part she had been most excited about. "Now I will tell you about Earth's predators." The display showed a lion, muscles rippling under golden fur, massive jaws filled with teeth designed to crush bone. This is a lion. Adult males weigh up to 250 kilograms. They hunt in groups. They can run at 80 kilometers per hour in short bursts. A crocodile appeared next, prehistoric and terrifying. This creature has remained almost unchanged for millions of years because its design is already perfect for killing. It can hold its breath underwater for hours, waiting for prey. Bears, sharks, venomous snakes, spiders whose bites could kill. Ji Woo showed them all. The students watched in growing horror. These creatures are dangerous, Ji Woo said. But they are not the apex predator of Earth. Humans are. She let that sink in before continuing. My ancestors hunted animals larger and stronger than themselves with primitive weapons. Stone spears. Wooden clubs. We hunted megafauna to extinction. And do you know how we did it? No one answered. Ji Woo smiled. We ran them to death. She showed a video of human persistence hunting. Ancient footage of humans chasing animals across grasslands for hours. Humans can run longer than any predator on Earth. We sweat to cool ourselves, which means we can keep going when other animals must stop. We chase prey until their bodies gave out from exhaustion. No other creature on our planet can do this. Commander Brellix shifted in his seat, his expression no longer skeptical. Humans are also incredibly durable, Ji Woo continued. Our bones can break and heal stronger than before. Our skin seals cuts naturally. We have survived falling from aircraft, being struck by lightning, and attacks from the predators I showed you. There are humans who have lived through all of these things. She pulled up medical data from Dayun's files. Human immune systems fight off thousands of infections daily. Our bodies maintain a constant internal temperature despite external conditions. We can survive for weeks without food and days without water. We heal from injuries that would be fatal to most species. The presentation was almost over. Ji Woo showed one final image. A group of humans standing together, different colors and sizes, but all clearly human. They were scientists, soldiers, teachers, artists, all children of Earth. So, Professor Dexler, Ji Woo said, looking directly at her teacher. You asked if I had heard of Krathos. I have. It is an impressive death world, and Krathians are impressive beings. But I ask you now, knowing what you know about Earth, do you still believe Krathians are the only Deathworlders in the consortium? Professor Dexler sat in silence. His face had gone through several colors during the presentation. When he finally spoke, his voice was quiet. No, I do not believe that anymore. Commander Brellix stood abruptly. His chair scraped loudly in the silent room. Without a word, he turned and left. Several other military officers followed him. Reen floated over to Ji Woo, her wings trembling. Do you understand what you have just done? She whispered. You have terrified the Galactic Military Command. Ji Woo felt cold suddenly. What do you mean? They thought they understood human limitations, Reen explained. They thought humans were weak because you were small. Now they know the truth. And truth can be frightening. Professor Dexler approached slowly. He looked at Ji Woo with new eyes, no longer seeing a small student but something else entirely. That was educational. Thank you, Ji Woo. Class dismissed. The students filed out in silence. Some glanced at Ji Woo with fear, others with newfound respect. Krall stopped beside her and rumbled with what might have been laughter. You certainly know how to make an impression, human. Ji Woo gathered her materials with shaking hands. She had wanted to prove that Earth was a death world. She had succeeded. But as she walked back to her room, she wondered what consequences her success would bring. Her computer had 50 new messages. Most were from Earth, congratulations and support. But 3 were from the Academy administration. They were all marked urgent. Ji-woo opened the first one and read, "Student Ji-woo, please report to the dean's office immediately. Your presentation has raised concerns that must be addressed." She sat on her too large bed and took a deep breath. Whatever happened next, she had told the truth about Earth, and the galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. The meeting with the dean lasted 3 hours. Representatives from 7 different species sat around a long table, all looking at Ji-woo with expressions ranging from concern to outright fear. The dean, a 4-armed being named Torvis, spoke in a careful, diplomatic voice. "Student Ji-woo, your presentation was very informative. However, it has created a situation we must address carefully. Several member species have expressed concerns about humanity's classification. Some believe humans should be categorized as a potential threat species." Ji-woo felt her stomach drop. "A threat? We haven't threatened anyone. Not intentionally," a reptilian representative said. "But your presentation revealed capabilities that were previously unknown. Your species evolved as apex predators on a world more hostile than we imagined. This changes things." "Changes what?" Ji-woo demanded. "We're still the same species we were before my presentation. We haven't changed. Only your knowledge of us has changed." The dean raised one of his hands in a calming gesture. "Please understand, this is not an accusation. It is simply a matter of protocol. Until we complete a full assessment, we must ask you to remain in your quarters. For your own safety." "My safety?" Ji-woo stood up. "You mean you're confining me because you're afraid of me?" No one denied it. Ji-woo left the meeting room feeling angry and alone. Guards escorted her back to her quarters, though they kept their distance. She was not technically a prisoner, they said, but she could not leave her room without permission. The first visitor came that evening. Krau had to duck through the doorway, his massive frame barely fitting in Ji-woo's room. He looked uncomfortable, but determined. "I wanted to see if you were well," he said. "What they are doing is not right." "Thank you," Ji-woo said quietly. "I'm okay. Just frustrated." Krau sat on the floor since the chairs would not support his weight. "I have been reviewing military assessments of human capabilities. After your presentation, they dug deeper into Earth's history. We have been underestimating you severely. We're not planning to attack anyone," Ji-woo said tiredly. "We just want to be part of the galactic community." "I know," Krau replied. "But you must understand, most species in the consortium evolved from herbivores or scavengers. Even Krathians, who pride ourselves on strength, evolved from pack omnivores. Humans evolved from pursuit predators. That makes some people nervous." They talked for hours. Krau told her about Krathos, about the trials Krathian children went through to prove themselves. Ji-woo told him about Earth, about cities and art and music, about how humans were more than just survivors and hunters. They were builders and dreamers too. When Krau left, Ji-woo felt less alone. The next visitor surprised her even more. Professor Dexler arrived late at night, looking tired and thoughtful. "I owe you an apology," he said without preamble. "I was arrogant. I assumed I knew everything about Deathworlds because I came from one. I dismissed your world because humans seemed physically weak. I was wrong." Ji-woo gestured for him to sit. "You weren't entirely wrong. We are physically weaker than Krathians in many ways. We can't match your strength or armor. But you have other advantages," Dexler said. "I have been studying Earth's history. Your species developed complex tools earlier than most. Your endurance is extraordinary. Your adaptability is unmatched. These are the traits of a successful Deathworlder, perhaps more so than raw strength." They spoke as teacher and student, but also as equals. Dexler asked genuine questions about human evolution, and Ji-woo answered honestly. When he left, he promised to speak to the Council on humanity's behalf. 3 days passed slowly. Ji-woo studied, exercised in her small room, and answered messages from Earth. Hyeon sent videos from his training, making faces at the camera to cheer her up. Then, on the 4th day, everything changed. Alarms blared through the station. Ji-woo's computer automatically displayed an emergency broadcast. There had been an accident at a mining facility on a nearby asteroid. A toxic gas leak, partial structural collapse, and extreme temperature fluctuations. Rescue teams were being assembled. Ji-woo watched the news feeds. The Krathian rescue team was struggling. The conditions inside the damaged facility were brutal, even for them. The gravity in the facility's core was 1.8 grams. Temperatures had dropped to negative 40 degrees Celsius, and toxic fumes filled the air. Workers were trapped, and time was running out. A supply ship had just docked at Luminara Prime. According to the manifest, it carried 2 human passengers, Taemin, a security consultant, and Yuna, a combat medic. They were on their way to Earth but had stopped for supplies. Ji-woo made a decision. She broke her confinement, overriding her door lock with a trick Hyeon had taught her. She ran through the corridors, ignoring startled looks from other students. She found her way to the docking bay where the supply ship was berthed. Taemin and Yuna were easy to spot. They were the only other humans on the station. Taemin was tall and muscular, with scars on his arms. Yuna was shorter, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. They both looked surprised when Ji-woo ran up to them. "You're the student from Earth," Yuna said. "The one who gave that presentation." "Yes," Ji-woo gasped, out of breath. "There's an emergency. A mining accident. The rescue teams are struggling. I think you could help." Taemin and Yuna exchanged glances. "We heard," Taemin said. "But we're civilians. They won't let us help." "They will if I ask them to," said a voice behind them. Professor Dexler stood there, breathing hard. He had clearly run after Ji-woo. "I have authority to approve emergency personnel. If you are willing, I will clear you. What are the conditions?" Yuna asked immediately, all business. Professor Dexler explained. As he spoke, both humans nodded. "We can work in that," Yuna said. "We'll need basic environmental suits, but nothing special." "How long do the trapped workers have?" "Maybe 2 hours," Dexler said. "Our teams estimate 4 hours minimum to reach them. Then, we need to leave now," Taemin said simply. The Academy administration tried to refuse. They argued and delayed. But Commander Brelix, who had been coordinating the rescue, made the final call. "Let them try. We are out of options." Ji-woo watched from the command center as Taemin and Yuna suited up and boarded a rescue shuttle. The feeds from their helmet cameras showed everything. They entered the damaged facility through a collapsed access tunnel that the Krathian team had judged too unstable. The humans moved differently than the Krathians. Where the larger aliens moved slowly and carefully, the humans were quick and efficient. They squeezed through gaps that seemed impossible, climbed over debris that should have been impassable. Their suits were basic, barely insulated, but they did not slow down. Yuna reached the first group of trapped miners and immediately began treating injuries. Her hands moved with practiced precision. She worked in conditions that would have killed most species, never hesitating, never stopping. Her voice over the radio was calm and professional as she reported each worker's status. Taemin found 2 Krathian workers trapped under a fallen beam. The beam weighed over 500 kilograms. The Krathian rescue team was bringing equipment to lift it, but that would take too long. Taemin braced himself, got a grip on the beam, and lifted. The command center fell silent. On the screen, a human who weighed maybe 80 kilograms was lifting a beam that should have been impossible for him to move. His face showed strain, muscles trembling, but he held it long enough for the two Krathians to crawl free. "How?" Commander Brelix whispered. "Adrenaline," Jiwoo explained. "In extreme situations, human bodies release hormones that temporarily increase strength and pain tolerance. We call it hysterical strength." The rescue continued. Taemin and Yuna worked for 3 straight hours in conditions that had stopped the Krathian team. They navigated collapsed tunnels, treated injured workers, and helped evacuate everyone. At one point, Taemin carried 2 full-grown Krathians on his back through a partially collapsed shaft, his legs shaking but never stopping. All 23 trapped miners were rescued. Not a single life was lost. When Taemin and Yuna returned to the station, they looked exhausted but satisfied. Medical teams immediately began treating them for exposure and exhaustion. The galactic news networks had broadcast everything. Millions had watched humans do what was supposed to be impossible. Jiwoo was there when they woke up in the medical bay. Yuna smiled at her. "That was harder than we expected." "You saved everyone," Jiwoo said. The entire galaxy watched. "Good," Taemin said. "Maybe now they'll stop being scared of us." But Jiwoo had been reading the news feeds. The galaxy was not less scared. If anything, they were more amazed and terrified than before. Humans had gone from unknown to famous in less than a week. And fame, Jiwoo was learning, came with complications. The Academy lifted her confinement. Several representatives who had wanted to classify humans as threats now publicly apologized. Humanity's application to join the consortium's military forces was fast-tracked. But there were new problems. Several aggressive species near consortium space had seen the broadcasts. They had seen human capabilities, and they had questions about where Earth was located and how many humans existed. Jiwoo received a message from Ambassador Goon, Earth's chief diplomat. "You have done well, but be careful. You have made humanity visible. Visibility brings both friends and enemies." Jiwoo sat in her room, watching the stars through 3 months had passed since the rescue. Life at the Academy had returned to something close to normal. Jiwoo was no longer confined or feared. Students approached her with curiosity instead of suspicion. She had even made friends beyond Kral and Vreen. Her classes were going well, and Professor Wexler had become a mentor rather than just a teacher. But Jiwoo hated the attention. Everywhere she went, people stared. They asked for pictures or recordings. They wanted her to talk about Earth, about humans, about Deathworlds. Some treated her like a celebrity. Others still kept their distance, nervous about the small predator in their midst. Hyen found it hilarious. In their weekly video calls, he laughed at her discomfort. "You're famous across the galaxy, and you're complaining? Do you know how many people want to meet you?" "Too many," Jiwoo grumbled. "I just want to study." "Well, at least you're making humanity look good," Hyen said. His training was almost complete. Soon he would be flying real missions, not just simulations. Jiwoo was proud of him, but also worried. Space was dangerous, even for humans. Then the intelligence reports arrived. Jiwoo was in the library with Vreen when Commander Brelix found her. His face was grim. "You need to come with me, now." They went to a secure conference room deep in the station's administrative sector. Inside were Professor Wexler, several military officers, and a holographic projection of Ambassador Goon from Earth. Everyone looked tense. "What's going on?" Jiwoo asked. Commander Brelix activated a star map. A section near consortium space glowed red. "This is Verloc territory. They are a hostile species, not part of the consortium. For decades, they have stayed within their borders. 3 days ago, they began mobilizing their fleet." "Mobilizing for what?" Jiwoo felt cold. Ambassador Goon answered, his voice heavy. "For Earth. We intercepted a Verlac transmission. The translation is clear. The human homeworld must be sterilized before they achieve full military integration with the consortium. The room spun. Ji Woo grabbed the edge of the table. They want to destroy Earth. Because of what I did? Not because of you specifically, Professor Dexler said gently. Because of what you revealed. The Verlac see humans as a future threat. They want to eliminate that threat before it grows. How long do we have? Ji Woo asked. Their fleet will reach your system in approximately 2 weeks, Commander Brellick said. They have 47 warships. Earth has 3. Ji Woo wanted to scream. Instead, she forced herself to stay calm. What is the consortium doing about this? The silence that followed told her everything. Ambassador Goon spoke carefully. The consortium charter prohibits preemptive military action. Earth is only an associate member, not a full member. They are debating whether intervention is legally possible. Legally possible? Ji Woo's voice rose. They're going to sit and debate while Earth is destroyed? Many species want to help, Professor Dexler said. But the consortium moves slowly. By the time they decide, it may be too late. Commander Brelix looked uncomfortable. There is another issue. Many species fear the Verloc. They are powerful and aggressive. Some council members worry that defending Earth will start a larger war. Ji Woo felt rage building inside her. So they will sacrifice my entire species to avoid conflict. We are fighting this, Ambassador Goon assured her. But I will not lie to you, Ji Woo. The odds are not good. Earth's defense fleet is being recalled. We are preparing for the worst. The meeting continued for hours. Plans were discussed and discarded. Every option seemed impossible. The Varlac fleet was simply too large, and Earth's defenses were too new. Humanity had only achieved faster-than-light travel 15 years ago. They were babies compared to species that had been traveling the stars for millennia. When Ji Woo finally left the conference room, her mind was numb. Ring found her sitting in an observation lounge, staring at the stars. I heard, Ring said softly. I am so sorry. My family is down there, Ji Woo whispered. My parents. My brother. 8 billion people. And they're going to die because I told the truth about Earth. This is not your fault, Ring insisted. The Varlock are the ones choosing violence. But if I had stayed quiet, then humanity would still be underestimated. Ring interrupted. And when a threat eventually came, you would have been even less prepared. You did nothing wrong, Ji Woo. Kral arrived, along with several other students. They had all heard the news. To Ji Woo's surprise, they were angry on her behalf. Angry at the consortium for hesitating. Angry at the Verlac for threatening an innocent world. There must be something we can do, Kral rumbled. We cannot simply watch. Professor Dexlar appeared in the lounge entrance. There is something. Come with me. He led them to a large auditorium where hundreds of students and faculty had gathered. Representatives from dozens of species filled the seats. At the front stood several professors and Commander Brelix. We are here, Professor Dexlar announced, because the consortium is failing in its duty. Earth is about to be attacked for no crime except existing. This is wrong, and we must say so. Commander Brellick stepped forward. I am organizing a petition to the Consortium Council. We demand immediate military intervention to protect Earth. Every signature matters. Every voice matters. The response was overwhelming. Students rushed to add their names. Faculty members signed. Even some species that had previously feared humans now stood in support. Ji Woo watched with tears in her eyes as thousands of beings declared their solidarity with humanity. But signatures would not stop warships. Ji Woo knew this. Everyone knew this. That night, Ji Woo made a decision. She sent a message to Ambassador Gun. "I'm coming home. I can't stay here while Earth fights." His response came quickly. "Taemin and Yuna are already heading back with a supply convoy. I have arranged for you to travel with them. But Ji-woo, you should know it may not be safe to return. Earth is my home." Ji-woo wrote back. "Safe or not, I belong there." She spent the next day saying goodbye. Reen cried, her wings trembling. Kral gave her a Krathian pendant, a symbol of courage. Professor Dexler embraced her carefully, his massive arms gentle. "You are the bravest student I have ever taught," he said. "Show them what humans are capable of." The transport ship left the following morning. Ji-woo, Taemin, and Yuna were the only passengers. The journey to Earth would take 10 days. The Varlic fleet would arrive 4 days after that. As Luminara Prime shrank behind them, Ji-woo composed a message. She sent it to every student and professor at the academy, to every contact she had made in the past months. It was simple and direct. You wondered if humans are Deathworlders. You're about to find out. We don't just survive our world. We learn from it. And we learned one more thing. When something threatens your home, you fight. Not because you think you can win, but because it's your home. Thank you for your support. If we survive this, I hope to see you all again. If we don't, remember us kindly. Signed, Ji-woo of Earth. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Thousands of messages came back. Words of encouragement, prayers in dozens of languages, promises to never forget humanity. Some students even tried to book passage to Earth to help fight. The consortium prevented this, but the intention touched Ji-woo deeply. On the 8th day of travel, they received an update from Earth. Captain Selman and the warship Taeguk had reached home safely. The defense fleet was taking positions around Earth. Civilian evacuations to the Moon and Mars colonies were underway, but there was not enough time to save everyone. Hyen sent a video message. He was suited up, standing in front of his fighter. Behind him, hundreds of other pilots were preparing their craft. "Hey, sister. Looks like I'm getting real combat experience sooner than expected. Mom and Dad are scared but safe in the underground shelters. Don't worry about us. We're going to show these Vorlok what happens when you threaten Earth. See you when this is over." Ji-woo played the message 3 times, memorizing every detail of her brother's face. Then she archived it carefully, just in case it was the last message she ever received from him. On the 10th day, their transport ship entered Earth's solar system. Ji-woo pressed her face against the viewing window, desperate for a glimpse of home. Earth was there, blue and beautiful and terribly vulnerable. And surrounding it, thousands of human ships. Warships, cargo vessels retrofitted with weapons, even civilian craft armed with whatever could be mounted on their hulls. Earth's military was tiny compared to galactic standards, but every human who could hold a weapon had volunteered. "Look," Taemin said quietly, pointing at a display screen. The Verlac fleet had been detected. 47 warships, each larger than anything humanity had ever built. They were 4 days away and closing fast. The odds were impossible. But as their transport descended toward Earth, Ji-woo saw her brother's fighter wing launching from a military base. She saw defense platforms powering up. She saw millions of humans preparing to defend their world. Earth was a death world, and it had created Deathworlders. The Verloc were about to learn what that truly meant. The command center was buried 3 kilometers beneath the surface. Ji-woo stood among military officers and government officials, watching screens that showed Earth's defense positions. She had no official role here, but no one had asked her to leave. She was a symbol now, the human who had told the galaxy about Earth. They wanted her present for whatever came next. Admiral Huan commanded Earth's forces. She was older than Ji-woo's parents, with gray hair and steady hands. Her voice over the communications network was calm and confident. "All units, this is Admiral Juan. The Verloc fleet will arrive in 4 hours. Remember your training. Protect each other. Protect Earth. Make them regret coming here." Taming and Yuna had joined defense teams on the surface. Hyan was in space with his fighter wing, stationed near the moon. Ji-woo had spoken to him briefly before he launched. "Don't do anything stupid," she had said. "Stupid is my specialty," he had replied with a grin. Then, more seriously, "I'll see you when this is over." The waiting was horrible. Ji-woo watched the clock count down. 3 hours. 2 hours. 1 hour. The Varlek fleet appeared on long-range sensors exactly on schedule. 47 massive warships, their weapons already charging. War Prime Shekstar, commander of the Varlak fleet, broadcast a message to Earth. His species looked like armored insects, with multiple limbs and hard shells. His voice was translated by computers. "Humans of Earth, you have been judged a future threat to galactic stability. Surrender now, and we will make your extinction quick. Resist and suffer." Admiral Han's response was immediate. "War Prime Shekstar. This is Admiral Juan of Earth Defense Command. We did not ask for this fight, but since you brought it to our home, we will show you what humans do to threats. We will show you why Earth is a death world." The first shots were fired by the Varlock. Energy beams lanced through space toward Earth's defense platforms. The platform's shields held, barely. Earth's 3 warships, led by Captain Soman in the Taigak, moved to intercept. Ji-woo watched the battle unfold on the screens. At first, it looked like a disaster. The Varlock ships were larger, better shielded, and more numerous. Earth's warships took heavy damage almost immediately. The Taiguk shields failed after the first exchange. It should have been destroyed. But Captain Soman did something the Verloc did not expect. She did not retreat. Instead, the Taigak accelerated directly at the nearest Varlock dreadnought, engines at full power. The crew evacuated into escape pods, and the ship became a missile. The Taigak struck the dreadnought at a significant fraction of light speed. The Verlake shields were designed to stop energy weapons, not kinetic impacts. The dreadnought cracked open like an egg. Debris scattered across space. The explosion took out 2 more Verlak ships that were too close. The command center erupted in shocked cheers. Ji-woo felt sick. Captain Soman had sacrificed her ship and barely escaped with her life. But she had proven something important. Human tactics were different. Humans would take risks that other species found unthinkable. The battle continued. Hyan's fighter wing engaged Verloc interceptors near the moon. Human fighters were smaller and faster, but less durable. They could not survive direct hits, so they did not get hit. They used the moon's gravity, ducking behind it and emerging at unexpected angles. They led Verlek ships into Earth's atmosphere, where human maneuverability mattered more than Verlek firepower. Ji-woo watched her brother's fighter on the tracking screen, her heart in her throat every time he engaged an enemy. He was good. Better than good. He flew like he was born in space, weaving through fire that should have killed him. But the Verla kept coming. For every ship humans destroyed, they lost 3 of their own. The mathematics were brutal and simple. Earth could not win through conventional fighting. Then Dr. Yoonji activated her weapons. Ji-woo had not known about Dr. Yoonji until that moment. She was a scientist who had been developing experimental weapons based on unthinkable concepts. Weapons the consortium had banned centuries ago as too dangerous. The first was a nuclear-pumped X-ray laser. A nuclear bomb detonated in space, and in the microsecond before it vaporized itself, it pumped energy into laser rods that fired in multiple directions. The beam cut through 3 Verlac ships before they could react. Their shields had no defense against it. The second was relativistic kinetic kill vehicles. Simple projectiles accelerated to 90% of light speed. They were nearly impossible to track and carried more energy than most bombs. When they hit, they did not just destroy ships. They erased them. The third was something even simpler: chemical explosives. Most species had abandoned such primitive weapons thousands of years ago. But chemical reactions did not care about shields. A human ship flew close to a Verloc cruiser, close enough that shields overlapped and detonated conventional explosives. Both ships were destroyed, but the exchange favored Earth. 1 small ship for 1 large cruiser. War Prime Shek-Star broadcast again, and this time his voice carried shock. "What are you? What kind of species fights like this?" Admiral Wan answered, "We are humans. We are from Earth, and you made the mistake of attacking our home." The battle raged for 6 hours. The casualty numbers climbed. 30,000 humans dead. 50,000 injured. Entire defense platforms destroyed. But the Verlac fleet was suffering too. They had lost 18 ships. Their formations were broken. Their confidence was shattered. Then something unexpected happened. The consortium fleet arrived. Ships from dozens of species dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's system. They had come too late to prevent the battle, but in time to see its conclusion. Ji Wu recognized Professor Dexlar's voice over the communications network. He was aboard one of the consortium ships. "This is Professor Dexlar of the Krathian Defense Force, speaking on behalf of the consortium fleet. War Prime Shek-Star, you have attacked an associate member world without provocation. Withdraw immediately or face the full military might of the consortium." But War Prime Shek-Star was no longer in control. His fleet was damaged and scattered. His ships were trying to regroup. And Admiral Wan was not giving him the chance. "Verlac fleet, this is Admiral Wan. You came here to exterminate us. You thought we would be easy prey. Now you want to retreat. I deny you that mercy. You brought death to our home. Now death has a name, and it is humanity." Earth's remaining forces pressed the attack. Fighters swarmed, damaged Verlac ships like wolves taking down wounded prey. Defense platforms that should have been out of ammunition somehow found more. Human ships that should have retreated kept fighting. Hyan's wing cornered 3 Verloc interceptors against the moon. Ji Wu watched the tactical display as her brother executed a maneuver that seemed impossible, looping around the moon's crater-scarred surface and coming up behind the enemy. All 3 Verlac ships were destroyed in seconds. War Prime Shek-Star's flagship tried to escape. It turned away from Earth, engines charging for faster-than-light travel. But it was too slow. Earth's remaining warships pursued, firing everything they had. The flagship's shields collapsed. Its engines failed. It hung dead in space. "I surrender," War Prime Shek-Star broadcast. "We surrender, please." The shooting stopped. The sudden silence was deafening. Ji Wu realized she was shaking. Around her, military officers were hugging each other, crying, laughing. They had won. Against all odds, against impossible mathematics, Earth had survived. The casualty reports came in slowly. 40,000 humans dead. 120,000 injured. The Taigak destroyed. 17 defense platforms gone. Hundreds of fighters lost. But Earth still stood. The Verlac fleet was defeated. 29 of their ships destroyed, the rest damaged and surrendering. Ji Wu ran from the command center. She needed to know. She pulled up Hyan's status on her personal communicator. For horrible seconds, the screen showed nothing. Then, Pilot Hyan, status, alive, minor injuries, returning to base. She collapsed against a wall and sobbed with relief. Her brother was alive. Her parents were safe. Earth survived. The cost had been terrible, but they survived. The next days were chaos. The Consortium Council held an emergency session. Ambassador Goon presented evidence of the Verloc as unprovoked attack. Professor Dexler testified about humanity's character. Commander Brelix described the battle tactics. Krau even appeared, speaking about his friendship with Ji Woo and what he had learned about humans. The vote was unanimous. Earth was granted full Consortium membership immediately. War Prime Shakstar and his officers were arrested and would face trial. The Verlac territory would be monitored to prevent future aggression. But more than that, the galaxy's view of humanity had fundamentally changed. They had seen humans fight, not with overwhelming technology or numbers, but with creativity, determination, and a willingness to sacrifice everything for home. Every species in the Consortium understood that now. 2 weeks later, Jiwoo returned to Luminara Prime and the Academy. Haiyan came with her, curious to see the place his sister had described. They arrived to find a crowd waiting at the docking bay. Students from dozens of species, holding signs in various languages, all welcoming them back. Professor Dexler greeted them personally. "Welcome home," he said to Jiwoo. Then he looked at Haiyan. "And welcome to you, young pilot. Your tactics during the battle